each one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Each.
every one of them.
Right.
And you can go on all of them at the same time.
One voter.
Good evening. We call to order the April 11, 2018 Planning Commission meeting. At this time, we want to do a roll call of the membership. As you see, I think everyone is present, but our chairman, Mr. Pryor, he had a previous engagement, and I will be setting in on this meeting. I am Tony Christie, Vice Chairman of the Planning Commission. At this time, we'll do a pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business, introduction of staff.
Stacy Webb, Secretary for Planning and Development.
Cody Martin, the attorney for the Planning Commission.
Jerome Fournier, Director of Planning and Development.
Eric Poche, Parish Planner.
Okay, thank you. We don't have a chairman comment tonight.
Mr. Chair?
Nope.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda for a couple items, couple corrective items that we need on the agenda, if I may.
Yes.
So, well, don't you have to make a motion to second it? So
I need a second for the
I'll
motion.
second. I'll second.
Okay,
And Julio, just to clarify, are you trying to amend the agenda or add an item to the
I
agenda?
want to amend the agenda to add 2 items to the agenda.
Okay, take them each up separately.
Okay. All right, I want to make a motion to amend the agenda to add item 8B to correct the January 10th, 2018 minutes. My accent got in the way of staff, and we discovered an error.
I'll second the motion to amend the agenda.
okay, we have a motion by Mr. Dumas and a second by Mr. Chasson to amend the minutes of the January 10th meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? The motion carries.
And the second motion, sir, is to amend the agenda to add item number 11C, Oak Lake right-of-way transfer for Highway 44. DOTD has requested that the parish go about it in a different way. There are some concerns, and our requirement of the applicant cannot be met pursuant to DOTD requirements.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion, another motion by Mr. Dumas, and a second by Mr. Furman. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? The motion carries. At this time, okay, we have any public comment?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. We got the CPEX presentation.
Okay, yeah, I should have a line to cross over. Okay, we have the CPEC presentation, Master Land Use Plan update.
Mr. Christie, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I'd like to introduce Lauren Marshall from CPEX, and she'll give a presentation on what's been happening so far with the Master Land Use Plan.
Thank you, Jerome. Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Lauren Marshall. I'm from Center for Planning Excellence, and we're the lead on the comprehensive plan for Ascension Parish. And yes, sorry. Is that better? Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry about that. My colleague Janet Tharp presented at your last meeting, gave you an update with a PowerPoint presentation, but I won't be, I'll be very brief tonight. Since her last presentation, we've continued to do tours with with more council people. So we've almost covered the parish, touring the parish and seeing it through the eyes of the council people, which has been extremely informative. We've also held small group meetings and interviews with some stakeholders, and we've had our first stakeholder committee meeting. And the stakeholder committee is a group of people who the parish has helped us identify who can be a sounding board throughout the process before we go to the public with ideas and things that we hear. And they are a diverse group representing all areas of the parish and industries and different community groups. So they were, it was a great first meeting. We look forward to working with them more. And we'll be holding another stakeholder committee meeting in May. And we also hope that you all save the date for June 4th, 5th, and 6th, which will be our first set of public meetings, which will be the visioning workshops. And we'll hold them on the west bank and then 2 meetings on the east bank of the parish to try and get as many people, as many residents as possible to attend. And I believe that's it, unless Jerome can remind me of anything else that I'm missing.
I think you covered it all, Lauren.
Okay.
Of the 11 council members, 9 of them did tours with us. We were very pleased with the turnout. And as Lauren said, it was an excellent ride through the parish. We got a lot of insight from their eyes as to what's affecting their districts.
Any
And
questions?
actually, Lauren, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
At the last meeting, we had actually asked Mr. Fournier, and I know that he had reached out, but Commissioner Chasson and I had both requested to be involved in the stakeholder meetings. Is there a way that you can make sure that that happens?
Well, I will defer to my client, Jerome, to let him decide who can be on the stakeholder committee or not. If that's okay.
I will, and I'll work with Mr. Pryor on that, because we had asked Matt as to who on the commission should be on there. We didn't want to overload the stakeholder committee with commission members or council members. We wanted a general population of the parish. So I will talk to Matt about that. All right? Yeah, thank you.
And I don't know that it was necessarily, at least, I don't know if it was necessarily the stakeholder committee so much as y'all had said if anybody wanted to sit down and talk and at
Right.
least share
Oh,
some
yes.
opinions, and I think that's what was supposed to, and that never
We'll
happened, so.
definitely do that, absolutely. Yeah.
We'd love to do that, and I can reach out to you through Jerome. I'm sure Jerome has your contact information. and I'd love to reach out to you and have either a phone interview, we can come sit down and talk to you face-to-face. And that applies to the entire planning commission. We'd love to speak to each of you. If there are no more questions, thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your update. Okay, we're gonna have the public comment. We're gonna ask that all our visitors fill out a card, Mrs. Webb, and for a public comment on anything on any, you don't have any? Okay. Okay, general business, there's no general business. The minutes, approval
Christie.
or denial of the minutes and written decisions of the March 14, 2018 Planning Commission meeting. Would like to have a motion to accept.
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Furman and a second by Mr. Chasson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All against? The motion carries. Okay, item B, we have a correction to the January 10th meeting. We need a motion for correction.
And just to be specific, in the tape, they understood that I said normal, not no more. So it is to correct that phrase. And so I make a motion to approve the amended January 10th minutes.
Okay, we have a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for Mr. Dumas to make the correction for the January 10th Planning Commission meeting, and a second by Mr. Furman. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? So the motion carries. All right, let's see, we have the affidavit of mortgage declarations, approval or denial. The first one of 9 consent agenda is the affidavit of mortgage declaration. Linwood S. Chris and Brandon F. Chris, track 2A, 2-A, 41492 Oak Harbor Road, Purrellville, Louisiana. Yeah, read all of them. Then we have a affidavit of mortgage declaration for Mark Manchester, track 2-B, 41488 Oak Harbor Road, Purrellville, Louisiana. C is an affidavit of mortgage declaration, Randy A. and Trudy B. Meir, Track B, 43044 Earl Bercier Road, Gonzales, Louisiana. D is an affidavit of mortgage declaration, Wanda Sue Cannon, Lot E-2-A, 12484, D.D. Pop, Road, Lane, Gonzales, Louisiana.
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Okay,
don't we have
we
to
have a
do all of
motion
them?
to,
You do them all at one time.
Okay.
we have a motion to approve, the consent agendas.
No,
Huh?
this is the, yeah, the consent agenda, I'm sorry.
The consent agendas, and by Mr. Dumas and the second by Mr. Bishop. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? The motion carries. We have item 10, public hearing to approve or deny the following family petitions. A, we have R.E. Carbo Property, lots Y-1-A through Y-1-H, Louisiana Survey Incorporated, Council District 1. We have anyone that's going to speak on that?
Yes, sir. My name is Curtis Cheney. I'm the owner of Louisiana Land Surveying that prepared the plat for the meeting.
Okay.
This is a family partition and just seeking approval.
Okay. We have any comment from staff?
The property division meets requirements of the family petition section of the ordinance. All the comments have been addressed, and that if you approve tonight, we'll get the donation papers and get the division done.
Okay, do we have any public comments? No public comment? Okay, we're gonna need a motion to approve.
So move.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have, yeah, we have a motion from Mr. Furman and a second from Mr. Bishop to approve this plat, this public, this partition. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? The motion carries. 11, we have a public hearing to approve or deny the following preliminary plats.
Well,
And that's
Mr. Chair,
it's
that's
been,
been Paul.
yes, I'm just, going through it. That's the Georgetown Crossing filing, and it has been taken off the agenda. B is the same thing, Jamestown Crossing, it has been taken off the agenda. We have a C, is a Oak Lake subdivision. It's been on the agenda, and we had one more.
No, Oak Lake Road
That was
transfer
a-
is the amended item, and Jerome, if you could please address the issue and
Yeah.
explain to the commission why we're here.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, the final plat for the Oak Lake subdivision was approved on January 10th of this year. At that meeting, a condition of approval for the project has the developer dedicating necessary right-of-way to DOTD for the construction of an exterior travel lane for Highway 44 within 90 days of the approval of the final plat. All right. The condition continues. Should the dedication not occur within that time frame, building permits are to be withheld in such time as the right-of-way dedication takes place. All right. The developers had numerous communications with DOTD, and staff has been copied on the communication. I have a series of emails that occurred between DOTD and the developer trying to dedicate that right-of-way, and DOTD is not willing to accept the right-of-way until the improvements are installed and inspected, all right? So this process could take 6 months or more from this date forward. So it is the recommendation of staff that the 90-day right-of-way dedication time period be extended 6 months from this date and allow building permits to be issued for the entire first phase of the project, which would be a total of 50 permits, right? So far, they pulled 7 permits, and there are 9 more buildings that are in plan check right now awaiting to have building permits issued. Additionally, the developer is aware of the preliminary plat approval requirement that says a roundabout be already constructed or a turn lane be required by the time the second phase final plat is proposed, all right? So basically, the improvements have to be in place and the right-of-way dedicated, before they can go forward with the second and third phase of the project. So what staff is recommending is that we allow them to pull the permits through phase one of the project without any hindrance based on the problems that we're having with the right-of-way dedication, right?
Mr. Chair. Jerome, my understanding is also that the development across the street is actually taking on the responsibility to build the road without one contractor, rather than having two different contractors build two halves of a road.
That is my understanding as well, but the developer is here and his engineer can address that issue in detail for us, right?
Okay, well, maybe, can they confirm that for us?
My name is Jake Lambert. I'm here representing D.R. Horton. We are soliciting bids from several different contractors right now, one of which is the selected contractor for the neighboring development. And we're going to evaluate those bids sometime at the end of next week, and we'll make a decision from there to move which contractor to move forward with.
So either you'll build it or they'll build it, what you're telling me?
We're responsible for building it.
No, but they're responsible for the other half of the road.
Certainly. Yes, sir.
So it could be that you build half the road and they build the other half?
It could be that.
Okay.
It's
All
a
right. All right.
complicated set of circumstances with several different highway jurisdictions, several different political entities, several different developers. But
Several different
we're working
everything.
very hard to negotiate the process.
All right. Well, and Jerome, the other thing is that really the only thing they can build is phase one. Phase two is still locked up until that traffic circle and the road's improved anyway. Because
That's
that's
correct.
their traffic report indicates that, correct?
Correct.
Wouldn't it be easier to just simply delete the condition in its entirety, because they can't go beyond phase one until the road's built, period?
I mean, that's certainly an option you can entertain.
Might be cleaner to do that than have a condition of approval that we gotta come back and amend later.
I would offer this also, if I may. We are bound by the traffic impact fee credit agreement to perform our highway improvements. And that is the document that you guys have to hold us accountable. So I would offer that as well.
Yeah, to reiterate on that one, Commission, we entered into a credit agreement for traffic impact fees with the developer. This was approved by council, and it basically states that they're going to be constructing that portion of the road that fronts the Oak Lake development on Highway 44, and they're going to be adding another travel lane that's immediately in front of their project. Based on that improvement, which is part of the traffic impact fee program for the parish, they're going to be getting credit for the construction of that portion of the road. And so they're going to be exempt from building permit, or I shouldn't say building permits, but for the traffic impact fees when they call the building pull the building permits for that section of road. We went through that with the commission. We went through the transportation committee, and we also had that document approved by the parish council. All right. So they are bound by the conditions that are within that document.
Well, it just seems to me like the most logical thing to do is delete the condition and just say that, you know, let phase two rule. They're not gonna be able to get anything done until such time as that road and that circle are in.
And Julio, I just want to make it clear, when you say delete the condition, they still have to donate it at some point in time. You just deleting the 90-day period that they had for
That's
building
all I'm
permits,
deleting
correct?
is the
Just wanted you
obligation
to
to do
clarify
within
that.
a period of time, correct?
Because it's 6 months feasible at all, anyway.
We-
It seems tight.
We're certainly hoping that that's the condition.
Yeah.
That was the timeline that kind of proposed. However, I do want to be clear, there's a lot of circumstances that are outside of our control
Yeah.
as the owner and developer and builder of this travel lane. We can build our little travel lane, but we have no control over the construction,
Yeah.
acceptance, and approval of the roundabout
Right.
itself.
Yeah,
That's
I'm in
a
agreement
separate
lifting that restriction.
entity, separate developer, but we're gonna get ours done in as timely a manner as we can.
Okay.
And what they can't do is they can't build any more than phase one until,
Well, right, and I understand all that, but, you know, we're holding an RV park, you know, we're holding them to some pretty long and lengthy conditions. Have to come back even within 6 months. And this is something that's a little bit more affecting. I think that, you know, if they can say that they can do 6 months, I mean, this takes 15, 20 minutes or whatnot, I would prefer to keep that stipulation in and not remove it and just ask them to come back within 6 months. I think that would be a little bit more consistent with what we're doing.
You don't have any objection to that, right? I mean, it's,
Yeah, and I'll be clear about this also is the concern, the reason that this issue is before this board is you guys were concerned that that you would end up not having the right-of-way dedicated. And if you recall, there was a little bit of a misstep is we couldn't dedicate the right-of-way until the tracks to be dedicated were created. And the instrument that created those tracks was the final plat. So the night that this requirement was put in front of us, I needed my plat signed, so we went forward and agreed to it. But certainly we want to dedicate the right-of-way, and as a matter of fact, we had offered to dedicate it to the parish, and then you guys handle the transfer of the right-of-way to DOTD. We're certainly okay with that, if that is the concern of the board. We don't want to be the hindrance here. We want to implement our travel lane that we've committed to, but if the concern is the property, we'll donate it to the parish, and then y'all can hand it over to DOTD. We're totally fine with that. But it's been indicated to us that, you know, the parish would prefer us donate it directly to DOTD. And we've worked very hard to move in that direction. But I'm sure you can appreciate the wheels of government.
I would, and let me just say that I would not compare this project with a mobile home park that went way out of its way to offend its adjoining property owners.
yeah.
And
But
which is
that
why
was
they
the-
were dealt with. in
But
the way
that
we
was
did.
the precedent used to grant them the extension anyway, because the original, under the terms of the original plat, we shouldn't have granted the final plat until the right-of-way dedication took place, and the justification we used to allow the extension was the
Permits.
the amount of time that we had given to that mobile home park. That was because, and I remember everybody up here saying, well, that's our custom because that's what we gave the mobile home park, so we'll give to them. I have no problem with what you're trying to do, and I'm fine with the 90-day or 6-month condition or whatever it was that your own proposed. And look, I mean, this can be done in 10 minutes, 6 months from now, again, if y'all are close but not there to come back. I just don't think we should remove it completely. That's just my opinion.
Well, Mr. Lambert did mention, Mr. Jerome, what would be the issue about the parish having the donation and then handling it from there?
Well,
There's a lot of
Cody
issues that really need to be thought through on the whole thing, and we just aren't ready to make a recommendation on that tonight. This whole issue got popped up in front of me today, and we really need to sit down with the plat, look at everything. Jake made good mention of, look, you got Gonzalez on the other side, us on one side, one developer, another developer. We got to make sure that the transactions are done right in a manner. Ideally would be best to give it to DOTD at the end of the day once everything was constructed, but there's liability issues that a lot of people have to consider. So it's just something that needs to be thought through. We may come back to y'all next month and say, yes, the best step is to let the parish take it, but we're just not ready to make that recommendation at this time.
And then putting the 6-month condition on it at least allows us to reconsider these issues in a few months if it becomes a problem. So, I mean, with that, I'll make a motion to go with the staff recommendation that the 90-day right-of-way period be extended to 6 months from today, and allow the building permits to be issued for the first phase for a total of 50 permits.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Chasson and a second by Mr. Wade. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? All right, the motion so carries.
Thank you.
Okay, Next on the agenda is number 12, staff report.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I'd like to report that the parish has retained the firm of Urban Systems Incorporated, and Urban Systems is going to be looking at our, and already has been looking at our policy that we have in place to prepare traffic studies for the parish. You know, this has been a big topic of discussion for the past few years. We met with Urban Systems. They made a presentation, very brief presentation to the Transportation Committee this past Monday. And they're going to have a stakeholder meeting that's going to occur the 25th of April. And we're going to have two meetings, one at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and another at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And the commission, all of the commission members are part of that stakeholder committee. So we'd like your attendance at one of those two meetings, and we'll work out the schedules with you as best we can, all right? So I'd like to leave it at that and just put that date on your calendar with those 2 hours, and we'll be having the meeting at the administration building in the large conference room.
And Jerome, just make note that if we have a quorum of the board there, that we just need to notice it as a public meeting.
Correct, yeah. Well, that's why we'd like to divide it up into two meetings.
Okay.
All right, that's all I have a report.
And you said 1 o'clock and what?
3.
Okay.
What constitutes a quorum, Cody? Is it 4?
4.
So you'd have to have 3 meetings, otherwise you have 4 and 3, and one of them would be a public meeting.
Correct.
Okay. Well, we'll have
If-
to
if
we'll
we
have
all
to
go.
notice it, yeah. Provided
We're
everyone
not
can
supposed to be
attend.
divvying up
No.
quorums anyway to avoid having a public meeting, so
Well,
let's just go ahead and
right,
notice
right.
it and we'll be
Yeah.
okay.
Right, right,
Just so there's no,
Yeah.
no issues.
exactly.
Okay. All right.
April 25th, and what was the other date, Jerome?
It's the same day.
It's
It's
1
just
Oh, I
two
thought you-
meetings on the same day.
Okay, I thought you said April 25th and some other date.
No, no, it's April 25th, a meeting at 1 p.m. and another at 3 p.m.
Okay.
Okay. With that being said, we're going to move on to item 13, engineering staff report.
There will be no engineering staff report tonight. All right.
Okay.
So
Need a
moved.
motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Who made the motion?
Julio did.
Okay, Mr. Furman, motion to adjourn, and second by Mr. Wade.